Bitcoin has historically had very, very deep declines, 1 out of every 4 years. Now, this pattern is very important to understand. In fact, guys, I'm going to try to get this up for you while I speak to you. All right. But Bitcoin operates off of this rather predictable 4-year cycle. All right. Or has operated rather predictably off of this 4-year cycle. Has. Some people argue that maybe it's not going to in the future. Let's not get into that right now. It always has operated on this rather very predictable 4-year cycle. And the 4-year cycle sort of works like this: 3 years up, 1, 2, 3, 1 year down. 3 years up, 1, 2, 3, 1 year down. And repeat, 3 years up, 1, 2, 3, 1 year down. These 1 year downs, right? All right, this is the entire life of Bitcoin. You see it? So every bar that you're looking at, people, represents 1 full year of trading in Bitcoin's life. Every bar is 365 days. Every bar is a year. Now, let's take out, what I want you to do is, Bitcoin spent the early part of its life seeking what's commonly referred to as price discovery. Okay. And so a lot of people don't like to include that price discovery, discovering where the real market is, where you have consistent bids and offers in the market. A lot of people don't like to include the beginning part of that period. And, you know, I have mixed feelings about this. I can go both ways. So this is the price discovery part of Bitcoin cycle, you see? And so a lot of people don't like to include this. So let's take this one out. Now, it starts to really achieve price discovery in 2011, okay? Now, if we can start from 2011, look, 1, 2, 3 green in a row, 1 red. 1, 2, 3 green in a row, 1 red. Remember, every bar is an entire year. 1, 2, 3 green in a row, 1 red. 1, 2, what's next, people? I'm going to do it again, and I need you to answer me. All right? 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, what's next? I'll wait. Somebody just type it. Just indulge me. I know you know the answer. Just indulge me. Somebody type it. What's next? 1, 2, 3. Now, do you understand that Bitcoin has never not done this? It has never not had 3 up and 1 down, 3 up and 1 down. So let me ask you this, people. It's a serious question. Why on earth should we not think that next year is up? It's 2024. It's number 2. Why? Why are the bozos out there saying, oh, you know, Bitcoin is topped. It's over. It's different this time. In what freaking world? What basis do you have? Every single thing that has ever happened has that every single time Bitcoin has done 3 up, 1 down, 3 up, 1 down. Until that breaks, the very best bet is always to bet the same thing. Otherwise, you're betting on a mental picture in your mind. So these people are saying, well, Bitcoin's going to do what it's never done before. That's not a bet I'm willing to take. I'm going to bet on reality, not on a little mental picture that I created in my mind that depicts Bitcoin doing something it has never done in life before. All right. Now, what's interesting about this 3 years up, 1 year down, 3 years up, 1 year down, 3 years up, 1 year down pattern, what's interesting about it is that the 3rd year is the big one. Whoo! Not the first, not the second, But the third one is the mega one. Like, let's take a look at that closer. All right, let me show it to you closer. All right, give it to you nice and big here. The third year is the big one. And if this is the case, we're coming into the third year in 2025. So remember, we're eliminating the price discovery bar year. And we're doing, look, 1, 2, which one was bigger? This one. Okay, let's go to the next cycle after the down year. 1, 2, and boom! The third one was the big one. All right, now this is a little different. This got cut a little bit. And I believe that one of the main culprits was the China ban that cut the hash rate in half at the time. But that was a little different that time. But statistically, the third one is the big one, more consistently than not. So I personally believe that Bitcoin is about to freaking melt faces off. And I believe it's poised to start melting faces off in the next several weeks, right into the end of the year, into the following year, which is the biggest year, which is likely to be the biggest year of this 3-year up move. I think our window of opportunity is shrinking. I think we've only got a few weeks left to be buying Bitcoin under the all-time new high of 74, 73 and change or what have you. And I think it's going to melt faces into next year. That is my view, and I'm freaking sticking to it. All right. All right. Now, this is a very long, circuitous route to answer Cryptovich's question more directly. I wanted to lay that groundwork first. So now that we know Bitcoin's 4-year cycle, 3 up, 1 down, 3 up, 1 down, 3 up, 1 down, we can now handle Cryptovich's question. During these downs, guys, if you look carefully, these downs have historically, let me bring this up for you for a second. These downs have historically, it doesn't look like it, but this was a 94% decline. It's because we're looking at a log chart. And this is an 87% decline, the second year down. So remember, this is 3 years up, 1 year down, 94%. 3 years up, 1 year down, 87%. Then we have 3 years up, 1 year down, 84%. 3 years up, 1 year down, 78%. Now, notice how the number gets smaller and smaller. So every bear market is more shallow, which makes sense because as the adoption of Bitcoin grows, people, the volatility will dampen a little bit and the downdrafts will shallow out more and more. This happens for every single asset human beings adopt. I lived through this through Apple. I lived through this through Microsoft. I lived through this through Microsoft in the early 1990s. I lived through this in Apple in the late 1990s. I didn't get it earlier than that. The late 1990s, 1997, 1998 to be exact. Amazon, 2001. All right. Every new thing starts off a lot more volatile. Guys, I lived through 27 declines in Amazon of greater than 50%. Like, think about that number. You understand? 27 of them. So, but you don't have declines like that in Amazon now. So as an asset matures more, its declines as well as its overall volatility dampens. Now, I don't want us rushing this because volatility is skewed to the upside in Bitcoin, and that's where the dynamic gains are coming from. So the volatility is truly a gift if you understand and respect the asset. But to get back to the point here, notice that every decline is more and more shallow. Now, these declines were shallowing out before, get this, they were shallowing out before regulatory clarity. Declines were getting shallower and shallower before spot Bitcoin ETF approvals, before the top money management firms holding trillions of dollars in assets have gotten into the space, before there was institutional adoption, before small countries started to put it on their balance sheet and deem it as legal tender, before FASB rule changes, making it no longer punitive for publicly traded companies to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, before it became a political item that has presidential candidates in the United States supporting the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin protocol, and having a pro-Bitcoin stance. Before all of this, Bitcoin was creating shallower and shallower lows. Now, with all of these things, regulatory clarity, institutional sponsorship, spot Bitcoin ETFs, FASB rule changes, countries adopting it as legal tender and putting it on their balance sheet, on and on and on. I believe that the declines are going to be much shallower than the last group. I'll put it this way. January of 2024, Bitcoin had its IPO. That's right. This year was Bitcoin's IPO. You see, the first 14 years of Bitcoin was its pre-IPO period. Everything has a pre-IPO period. It was the warm-up. It was where the early insiders get in. And then it goes public. Bitcoin went public in January of this year. It had its IPO. And so this kicks off a brand new era for Bitcoin, an era where it has a permanent institutional bid in the market. Do you understand what that means, guys? This is my world. I understand this world intimately. I understand that when there is an institutional bid that can never go away, you have permanent, forever support for your financial item. And we never had that for Bitcoin until January of this year. Institutions must bid forever for Bitcoin. It might be lower, but there's an institutional bid there that will slow the moves to the downside down. And we're already seeing evidence of that, right? Because by this time in the cycle, Bitcoin should have dropped by 35%, 40% several times. It did this multiple times, almost every single cycle before this cycle. This cycle is proving different from any other cycle. First of all, it hit a brand new all-time high before the halving. It never did that. It is today trading higher today than it ever has in any other halving period from the last cycle, based on the last cycle's high. So guys, if we go back to this, let me just show you this. Let me show you how special. I'm going to show you how special this is, right? So if we find the date, what's to date? The 11th, right? This is September 11th. Now, halving year, September 11th. That's today. If I go back to September 11th, 2020, which was the last halving year, let's find it. All right, here's July, August, September 7th, 14th. So right there, I want you to look at where the price was. So the price was around 10,000. Let me mark this up for you. Why can't I do this? Okay, here it is. Let me mark this up for you. So we're roughly around 10,000 on this date 4 years ago. Now we're at, let's call it 57,000 on this date 4 years later. This is one of the reasons why I tell people you must look at Bitcoin in 4-year slices. It will take care of you every 4 years of your life forever. 10,000 to 57,000, almost 60,000. Are you kidding me? Nothing's done that. Well, not nothing, but you know what I'm saying. No asset class on planet Earth has done that. It has taken care of the people who were in September 11th 4 years ago to now, September 11th today, 10 to 57,000. That's a mega win. Now, here's the point I want to make, though. All right, let me erase this. Here's the point I want to make. check this out. This 10,000 that you see here, guys, and I'll do it this way, which is, I think, is easier. This 10,000, this is September 11th, 10,000 is 100% below the past cycle's high. The past cycle's high was 20,000. But on this date after the halving, we're still 100% away from making a new high. All right? That's last halving. Let's talk about this halving. Here's the new high. That new high is 69. Do you understand? We're at 57. Are we 100%? This is the same day, September 11th. September 11th, both having years. We're 100% away. And here we're a stone's throw away. This, people, is the very best performing Bitcoin halving in its entire history. And so it is already demonstrating its difference. It is saying my last era, I'm different from my last era. I've had my IPO. I've got the institutional bid. I've got the biggest money managers in the world. I've got the countries. I've got everyone clamoring to be a Bitcoin miner. I've got the hash rate exploding to all-time new highs. I've got my difficulty rate reaching all-time new highs. I've got adoption on the rise. I'm going to be different. I'm going to hit an all-time new high like I've never done before the halving. Check. I am going to trade less. I'm closer to the new high, all-time new high, than ever before in my history. And I believe, check, and I believe what's next, the check that's next, I am going to blast off like you've never seen before in my entire history. That is what I believe we are in store for. And let me just tell you this, Crypto Vich, and all of you, your time to take advantage of this is shrinking by the second. Do you hear that? Tick, 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 tick. That's your opportunity running away from you. Listen. Tick, 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 tick. You've got a few short weeks, in my opinion. Why do I say you have a few short weeks, people? It's very clear. It's very clear why. It should be clear why you have a few short weeks. But just in case it's not terribly clear for you, I'm going to freaking make it clear for you why you have limited time. You see, this was last halving. You see? The last halving took place here. Not even there. It's even back a little bit. Let's do it again. So let's find it. It was May something, right? May. Let's get here. So last halving's here. All right. So we got both halvings, right? Got both halvings right here. Boom. And boom. I want you to notice after this halving, when it really starts to take off is here. You see this bar right there? That's the takeoff bar. That's when it really just says, I'm breaking out and I'm off. Now, look at when that happens. October the 19th, right before presidential election time. Okay? Right before presidential election time. Okay? Let's even go, guys, to it's October. It's always October, November. October, November. Even on non-halving years, if we go to 2022, when Bitcoin was in the throes of its bear market, look at where the bottom comes. November. It's always October, November, October, November, October, November, October, November, October, November. Do you understand? The takeoffs happen October, November, October, November. The tops happen October, November. Look, November top, but the bottom, November, November top, November bottom, November takeoff, October, November takeoff. This period is very special for Bitcoin, and it happens over and over and over again. Now, this takeoff was the last halving year. Right before presidential election, Bitcoin takes off. I believe we're going to get the same thing this year, this halving, where let's get right before presidential election time. Let's put it, that's presidential election, November 4th, right? So let's do it right before we got here, right there. Let me mark it. Let me mark it for you. Let me show you how little time you have. Let's do it. Let's do it right there. Boom. Look at that little space. Look at that freaking little space that you have. Look at that little freaking space you have. Check this out. Smoke on this. Watch this. I think what's next? Boom. Are you picking up what I'm laying down here, guys? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing the pattern? Bitcoin doesn't take off until October, November, every single halving year. And people say, oh, Bitcoin is dead. What's happening with Bitcoin? Why is it not moving? Why is it not rising? This halving is different. Bozos. To me, whenever I see them, guys, whenever I see that being talked about in comments and on X and this and that, I always picture them one way, for real. Oliver, what's the matter with Bitcoin? It's broken. It's dead. This cycle's different. If we're going to go into a bear market now. You know what they sound? They sound like this. That's how they sound to me. Sorry. I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but I'm just telling you. All I can tell you is what's in my mind when I read those comments. And I imagine them saying it just like that.